The rain was heavy, seemingly endless, pouring relentlessly from the sky. Fortunately, there were shallow, winding canals in the streets of the city, allowing most of the rainwater to flow into them. These canals spread throughout the city, carrying the water like a gentle stream flowing into the sea, eventually draining out of the city. The entire day passed quietly under the rain. As night fell, the lively sounds of the previous day disappeared. People heading home took shelter indoors, refraining from venturing out. In the night, the clouds were hidden, but the roaring thunder and occasional flashes of lightning illuminated everything, casting the world into daylight. The rain was mixed with cold winds, which howled and twisted, blowing the raindrops at an angle, causing them to rush to the earth. Under the eaves of the houses, clusters of wet leaves hung down, violently swaying in the storm. Some poorly tied leaves were torn from their strings by the fierce cold wind, turning into small boats tossed in the angry waves of the storm. Some of the leaves were swept into the sky, swirling in circles before vanishing into the darkness, while others fell into the muddy streets, stained with muck. They struggled to rise again, but as they did, a pair of Taoist boots stomped down on them, pressing them back into the mud, never to escape. In that instant, a thunderous roar erupted, followed by a lightning bolt that illuminated the entire world, turning day into night. For a fleeting moment of brightness, on the street in the west of the city, an elderly man in a Taoist robe stood there, his eyes sharp like torches, hands clasped behind his back. Under his right foot, a leaf fluttered, half exposed, struggling in the wind and mud. On his forehead, a strange symbol glowed ominously. Behind him were 7 middle-aged cultivators, their gazes cold. With a wave of the elderly man's right hand, the 7 of them immediately moved forward, surrounding him. Each of them made a gesture with their hands, and in an instant, a dim light flickered from their hands, forming a long line like lightning that connected to the old man's body. The scene before them mirrored the symbol on the old man's forehead, as if he became the center, with 7 lines of light emanating from his body. The old man closed his eyes. Moments later, he suddenly opened them wide, and the symbol on his forehead erupted with light, sweeping outward in a fan-shaped arc. Simultaneously, the dim lines of light from the 7 behind him exploded with an intense radiance. The light converged, entering the old man's body and making the symbol on his forehead even more brilliant. With the sweep of the symbol, everything in front of the old man's gaze, the mortal houses, instantly changed in his eyes. The houses, which seemed old and worn, suddenly turned new, and then, in an instant, they collapsed into ruins. Not only the houses, but the mortals inside were also reversed in age before the old man's eyes. Within moments, they vanished, as though they had never existed in this world. Even those who had once lived there, long since deceased, were revived under the old man's gaze, showing scenes from their past lives. Meanwhile, Wang Lin had been meditating in his house, his soul essence locked in a critical battle with the indestructible thunder. The will contained within the thunder was struggling violently, akin to the thunder and lightning flashing in the sky outside, roaring with fury. But no matter how hard it struggled, it could not break free from Wang Lin's body. Having merged with 8 ancient thunder dragons, his soul had also become thunder. The constant clash and devouring seemed like the primordial battle between 2 indestructible bolts of lightning vying for control over the world's thunder, where only one could become the true ruler of the heavens' lightning. At that moment, Wang Lin, who had been meditating with his eyes closed, suddenly opened them, a brief gleam of light flashing within. His expression remained calm. With a flick of his right hand, the entire space around him began to twist, like a mirror distorting. As it twisted, cracks appeared, and with a sharp snap, the mirror shattered, breaking into countless pieces, making everything fragment and fall apart. After completing this, Wang Lin closed his eyes again, uninterested in the outside world, and once more entered a deep meditative state, focusing on the final devouring of the indestructible thunder. In the heavy rain, the elderly man in the Taoist robe's gaze flickered. He looked slowly, and when his eyes reached the house where Wang Lin was hiding, he did not pause. In his vision, the house disappeared, along with the scholar inside, as well as all the people who had once lived there. After a long time, The old man passed over the entire West City in his gaze. Not finding anything, his expression softened. He formed a hand gesture, tapping it to his forehead as a low growl escaped his lips. Immediately, the light from the clan mark at the center of his brow grew brighter. As the energy surged, the entire western part of the city seemed to vanish before the old man's eyes, as if time itself were rapidly unraveling. Soon, what appeared before the old man was a scene of an ancient battlefield, where countless mortal armies clashed, and the earth was dyed a dark crimson. The old man abruptly shut his eyes. The light from the clan mark on his brow slowly faded and eventually returned to normal. The 7 cultivators surrounding him also withdrew their marks, their faces slightly pale. There are no cultivators hidden here. We'll search elsewhere. The old man swung his wide sleeves and leaped into the air, turning into a long rainbow that tore through the dark clouds and sped off into the distance. The 7 cultivators quickly followed behind him. This same scene was unfolding not just in this region of the cultivation star, but across the entire ancient stars, where all the cultivation stars were being searched. With the decree of the ancient star decree, all clans were commanded to carry out meticulous searches. The cultivation stars, the uninhabited savage star, and the endless starry sky together, the people of the ancient stars formed an enormous web. Wang Lin remained calm. He showed no reaction to the departure of the others, his expression unchanged, and even his eyes remained closed. The roar of the indestructible thunder in his divine sense was growing fainter, and its struggles weaker. The sky was thick with clouds, and rain had been falling without any sign of stopping. On this rainy night, not even the night watchman appeared. The only sounds were the thunder and the constant patter of the rain. Within Wang Lin's primordial spirit, 2 bolts of lightning collided continuously, until, with a thunderous crash, they completely merged into one. The rebellious roar of the indestructible thunder was rendered useless, swallowed entirely by Wang Lin's lightning formed from his primordial spirit, fusing into a single entity. In the instant the indestructible thunder was consumed, the will contained within it was also refined by Wang Lin's primordial spirit. It fused with his divine sense, and suddenly, the lightning that formed his primordial spirit trembled. He could clearly feel his thunder origin within his primordial spirit expanding at an unimaginable speed. This increase was indescribable. In the blink of an eye, just the power of the thunder origin alone caused Wang Lin's cultivation to surge. He broke through the peak of the mid-shattered nirvana stage and began advancing toward the late-shattered nirvana stage. With the rumbling of the origin power, Wang Lin's cultivation and the use of lightning soared to the late-shattered nirvana stage in an instant. The origin power was the foundation of all rules and concepts. Realizing the origin was like seeing through the lightning's concepts and rules completely. Without the limitations of these concepts, his cultivation skyrocketed, a startling and frightening increase. Moreover, after consuming the will within the indestructible thunder, Wang Lin's mind roared. Flashes of images suddenly flickered within his divine sense, memories of the indestructible thunder's will. Perhaps due to the distant ancient times, the memories were fragmented, revealing only 3 scenes. The first scene was of destruction, a collapse of the starry sky and domains, an earth-shattering collapse of unimaginable scale. Countless starry realms, stretching far beyond the inner and outer realms, were torn apart in a cataclysmic disaster. In the midst of this collapse, countless beings perished. Wang Lin saw cultivators in strange clothing, ferocious beasts with bizarre shapes, and even giant mosquito-like creatures as large as the cultivation stars, emitting a black glow. He also saw beings with multiple heads, resembling the legendary Jiqiong. Just as he was about to continue watching, a bolt of lightning surged out from the collapse, as though trying to escape. Its light enveloped everything, flashing past in an instant. This was the first scene, brief, yet the shock it gave Wang Lin was immense, like a tsunami crashing upon him. That earth-shattering lightning was the indestructible thunder. Only, it was far more powerful than when Wang Lin had consumed it. The second scene showed a bolt of lightning traveling through the hand of a middle-aged man. The man had an indifferent expression, and on his forehead was a flower pattern with 7 petals, representing 7 colors. It's a pity for this primordial divine void thunder. It may never recover in 10,000 ages. Well, I'll send you out. Let's see what fate and fortune you hold. The middle-aged man shook his head, and with a flick of his right hand, the lightning rumbled and flew toward the endless abyss below, disappearing. The third scene took place at the sacred land of the Lightning Thunder Clan, where a bolt of lightning connected heaven and earth, seeming to have existed since time immemorial, rumbling with the sound of the heavens and earth collapsing, eternal and unyielding. Around the lightning, 8 cultivators floated. Among them was an old man with a lightning sigil on his brow. The other 7 wore strange clothing that seemed made of an unknown material, shimmering like flowing rivers on their bodies. Especially the one standing at the front, he was clearly the leader of these cultivators. The old man from the Lightning Thunder clan gazed at him with extreme respect, even a hint of fear in his eyes. This person was surrounded by a golden thread, which Wang Lin found strangely familiar. Never thought it would be here. What a pity, such a pity. The leader shook his head and turned around. In the instant he did, a thunderous boom echoed in Wang Lin's mind. His pupil shrank sharply, and he froze. He's. Yet even as the image faded from Wang Lin's consciousness, the man's face, caught in that moment of turning, remained vividly imprinted in his mind. Deep and unforgettable, like a brand. Wang Lin had never seen this person before. He was certain of that. But, in the man's left eye shimmered a cluster of 5-colored light. To Wang Lin, who was intimately familiar with such power, it was immediately clear this was the extreme realm. A 5-colored extreme realm. Wang Lin had only witnessed such a phenomenon once in his entire life, and that had been long ago on Vermilion Bird Star, an encounter with an object from 5-element star, almost lost in the depths of his memory. In that instant, seeing the man's left eye glow with the 5-colored extreme realm, Wang Lin was struck by a strange, indescribable feeling. It was very likely the same power that once belonged to NATO. Meeting NATO had opened a door for Wang Lin, showing him the path to his own extreme realm and revealing a vital truth. The extreme realm was not singular in form. NATO had once been one of the cultivators who pursued Situ Nan. On Vermilion Bird Star, he took the form of a corpse to heal his injuries. Wang Lin had taken his storage pouch, and after his revenge in the Zhao Kingdom, NATO had hunted him down. Now, even though the image had vanished, Wang Lin's eyes gleamed. It was as if he had stumbled upon a tremendous secret. The golden threads surrounding that man's body, they're from the Kunji whip. Combine that with what the first elder of the Lightning Thunder clan said during our battle, and NATO's 5-colored extreme realm. Could it be that this mysterious group of cultivators never left at all, but instead entered the inner realm? Whatever happened in the inner realm, that 5-colored extreme realm must have eventually ended up in NATO's hands. Even the Kunji whip, a powerful magical artifact, was abandoned on Vermilion Bird Star. NATO must know a great deal. 5-element star. NATO. Wang Lin's eyes flashed as he exhaled deeply. After a long silence, he pushed these thoughts aside. This was not the time to dwell on them. At this moment, the thunder soul within Wang Lin was several times stronger than before, coursing through his body. The powerful origin of thunder churned like a massive vortex inside him, rumbling with force. With each rotation, lightning surged through every muscle and bone of his body. Wang Lin was no longer merely a cultivator. He had become lightning itself. A thunderbolt defying fate, a rebellious lightning against the heavens. His cultivation also underwent a strange transformation, one nearly unheard of, whether in the inner realm or the outer realm. If he fully unleashed the power of thunder, his cultivation had already broken through the mid-shattered nirvana stage, reaching the late shattered nirvana stage. But if he refrained from channeling thunder, relying only on flame, on his own conceptual realm, in the primordial energy of heaven and earth, he remained at the mid-shattered nirvana stage. This anomaly was directly tied to the 5 fundamental origins within him. Outside, rain poured heavily, thunder crackled, and lightning streaked across the night sky. Inside the house, Wang Lin stood silently. He picked up the worn-out straw raincoat he'd left behind earlier, put it on, and pushed the door open. The instant the door swung open, a flash of lightning lit up the pitch-black street. Rain veiled the distance, blurring vision. Every household around was dark, everyone clearly fast asleep. Only now and then, a child startled by thunder would cry, but the sound was quickly hushed by gentle parental whispers. The rain splattered the ground with ripple after ripple, scattered leaves swirling in the flow. Wang Lin stood at the threshold, looked up at the dark sky beyond the lightning, tightened the coat around him, and stepped out. The streets were empty. Wang Lin walked forward in the rain, alone. The only companions he had were the falling rain and the mournful wind. At the far west of the city, where it connected to the north, things were usually lively. On good nights, even after dark, the area buzzed with people. Brothels and gambling dens alike would thrive under the night sky. But tonight, under heavy rain, all was hushed. Only the swaying signs outside a few inns and taverns, open day and night, cast a faint glow as they swung back and forth in the wind. Wang Lin passed slowly through the west end, and stopped outside one such tavern. Inside, a few dim lights glowed. Only 2 or 3 patrons sat there, sipping wine and murmuring under the sound of rain. The tavern boy slouched nearby, half asleep, snoring lightly, his eyes glazed, ready to doze off at any moment. Wang Lin entered, setting his wine flask on the table before the drowsy attendant. It landed with a faint thump. 1 flask of wine. Perhaps the rain had carried a chill in with Wang Lin, because the attendant shivered, rubbed his eyes, and gave Wang Lin a glance. Muttering something under his breath, he lazily stood up, grabbed the flask, and shuffled to the back room. Moments later, he returned and placed the filled flask before Wang Lin. 3 qian of alum crystal, he mumbled. Wang Lin left some money and belongings behind, took a sip from his wine flask, and the familiar spicy sensation immediately surged in his throat, turning into a heat that spread into his abdomen. The wine was strong, perfect for moments when one needed to kill, and Wang Lin liked it very much. With the wine flask in hand, he stepped out of the inn and into the rain, walking toward the distance. Thunder rumbled in the sky, and lightning illuminated the path ahead of him. He did not head west to the city, but instead walked northward, slowly making his way forward. In the rainy night, he occasionally took a sip of his wine. His steps weren't fast, but with each stride, even the falling rain seemed to pause for a moment. To the north of this cultivation star, not far from the capital, a Taoist-robed elder walked with a grim expression. Behind him, 7 followers looked tired. They had searched many places this night, but found nothing. Clearly, the one who destroyed the Lightning Thunder clan was not here. Elder, all the cultivation stars in this star domain have gathered many people, all searching. But up until now, we haven't found anything. Perhaps the culprit isn't here. He may not be on this cultivation star, but he is certainly somewhere within this star domain. The Taoist-robed elder spoke in a deep, dark tone as he moved through the air. Grand Diviner Yun Luo of the Council of Elders has already calculated that this person is within this star domain. It won't be long before he can pinpoint the exact location. If we find him before Yun Luo does, we... The elder's eyes flickered, but just as he was speaking, suddenly, the sky rumbled again, and lightning and thunder crossed paths, lighting up the ground before it quickly faded to darkness. In that instant, a figure dressed in a straw raincoat, holding a wine flask, appeared from the distance. The speed was so fast that no one could notice. Even the 7 followers behind the elder didn't realize it. Before they could react, the figure in the straw raincoat had already closed in, standing less than 3 feet away from the Taoist-robed elder. The elder's pupils suddenly contracted, his expression filled with shock and disbelief. He had no time to react, as the figure in the raincoat raised his right hand, took a gulp from the wine flask, and with his left hand, casually tapped the elder's forehead. In an instant, the sky boomed with thunder. The elder's yuan shun was forcefully torn apart, piercing through his body and extending to his back. At the moment the yuan shun left his body, Wang Lin stepped forward, his left hand quickly grabbing the yuan shun and heading in the opposite direction. Just as the thunder had finished rumbling, the sound lingering in the air, another bolt of lightning flashed, lighting up the land. The 7 cultivators behind the elder had no idea what had just happened. Even the Taoist-robed elder himself appeared confused for a moment, but quickly recovered. It must be a major accomplishment. The elder's expression remained grim, but a faint pallor appeared on his face. It seemed like he had completely forgotten the shocking moment just moments ago. With a stagger, he began walking away. As the lightning illuminated the land, the figure in the straw raincoat grew further away, holding in his left hand a shattered yuan shun. The yuan shun clearly resembled the elder, mouth wide open as if trying to call for help, but no sound came out. The 8 cultivators, including the Taoist-robed elder, walked away without noticing, gradually disappearing into the distance. Wang Lin drank another sip of wine, splashing through the mud on the street to the west of the city. He returned to the outside of his house, pushed open the door, and entered. In his left hand, he still held the shattered yuan shun. The moment he stepped into the room, he squeezed it, and the yuan shun silently collapsed. The memories inside were immediately extracted by Wang Lin. He had no intention of killing the Taoist-robed elder, but he needed to know the exact changes of the ancient star of antiquity. Thus, without the elder noticing, he used his thunder art to sever part of the Yuan Shan, extracting the memories. As I expected, the ancient star of antiquity has initiated a very thorough search, and that grand diviner Yun Luo. His divine ability can actually calculate my location. Wang Lin's eyes flickered as he learned from the Yuan Shan's memories. Not only did he discover the search for him, but he also understood the entire layout of this star domain. With a cold laugh, Wang Lin waved his right hand, and a new Yuan Shan appeared in his grasp. This Yuan Shan belonged to the Grand Elder of the Lightning Thunder clan, and at that moment, his eyes were tightly closed, barely alive. The remaining 5 bolts of companion thunder, apart from the lightning of thought, must be obtained from this elder's Yuan Shan. This person once used his 6 companion thunder techniques without gathering them from his own body, instead summoning them. They dispersed, but didn't fully vanish. They can be summoned again. Unfortunately, there are 9 types of thunder, and it's still incomplete. I wonder if it will allow my thunder diagram to be complete, helping me overcome the heavenly decay tribulation and, with the Thunder Tao, step into the 3rd realm of great power as a thunder cultivator. Without hesitation, Wang Lin opened his mouth and took a deep breath. In an instant, the Elder's essence spirit transformed into a streak of light and was swallowed by Wang Lin. Thunder roared within his body as it immediately shattered the essence and absorbed it. At that very moment, Wang Lin's thunder essence spirit stirred. After devouring the Elder of the Lightning Thunder clan, it actually began to change shape. Remarkably, his essence spirit had taken on the appearance of the Elder himself. His essence spirit's eyes suddenly snapped open, and lightning flared intensely. Heavenly Brew Lightning, Earth Fusion Lightning, Primordial Transformation Lightning, Magnetic Thunder, Tao Intent Thunder, Spirit Thought Thunder. Appear before me. Under the dazzling light, it seemed as though a rift had been torn within Wang Lin's essence spirit. In an instant, a crack appeared, born from his essence spirit, but it caused no harm to him. Inside the rift, everything was pitch black, as though leading to another world. At Wang Lin's summons, the darkness within the crack began to squirm like misty air currents, moving turbulently. Faint booming sounds could be heard from within. Moments later, 6 bolts of accompanying thunder surged from the rift amidst the roar. These 6 bolts of accompanying thunder were accumulated over tens of thousands of years by the Lightning Thunder clan and were quite powerful. As they shot out, they immediately surrounded Wang Lin's essence spirit, spinning rapidly. A feeling of expansion instantly spread from Wang Lin's body. Fortunately, with his ancient, godly physique, a regular cultivator would have exploded at this point, but Wang Lin managed to endure. Yet, even so, a few traces of thunder leaked from his body through his pores, causing his clothes to flutter as if stirred by an invisible wind. The objects within the room also crackled with lightning. At the same time, the thunderclouds in the sky outside erupted, the roaring thunder shaking the very earth. The rain intensified, pouring down in torrents. The drastic change made Wang Lin open his eyes wide in shock. Judgment error. Wang Lin's expression darkened. Without a second thought, his body flickered and instantly vanished from the room. As the thunder roared and lightning flashed across the sky, Wang Lin's figure teleported, reappearing at the southernmost end of this cultivation star, amidst the vast expanse of the 100,000 mountains. The 100,000 mountains in the southern region of the cultivation star stretched endlessly. Looking out, one could see no end in sight. The mountains were dense with towering ancient trees, hiding countless ferocious beasts. Wang Lin's figure flashed, appearing deep within a valley in the mountains. With a wave of his right hand, a burst of light spread out from his body, distorting and blending into the surrounding environment, becoming one with it. Under the shelter of the light, Wang Lin sat cross-legged, his hands forming seals as he rapidly began his refinement. He had originally thought that the 6 bolts of accompanying thunder would not manifest within his body, as his essence spirit was powerful enough to suppress them. However, after the 6 bolts appeared, his essence spirit could not devour them in time, and some of the thunder escaped from his body. This lightning was minor, but its appearance was enough to attract the attention of some cultivators on this cultivation star. The moment Wang Lin left the room, several cultivators on the upper floors of the Imperial Palace noticed a strange change. They sensed a terrifying surge of thunder energy from the western city, and their divine senses swept out, but found nothing. However, these cultivators were sharp-minded, and they quickly deduced the cause. Whether or not it's that person from the Lightning Thunder clan, someone is hiding here, and there's definitely a purpose. The shattered Nirvana elder's face darkened. With a flicker of his body, he dashed off in the distance, followed by the others. It wasn't just him. At that moment, the Taoist robe-wearing elder, whose essence spirit had been split, was about to leave. However, he suddenly turned around, his eyes flashing with a peculiar light. Without a word, he immediately adjusted his direction and expanded his divine sense, searching intently once again. At the same time, in the western part of the cultivation star, a group of white-clad cultivators swept their divine senses over the entire western region but found nothing. Just as they were about to leave, the middle-aged leader's expression suddenly changed. Without a second thought, he altered his course. Meanwhile, within the ancient star domain, a mist-covered star domain, home to the ancient and powerful ethereal clan, there was a beautiful lake on a blue cultivation star. The lake, as smooth as a mirror, reflected the serene beauty of the surroundings. In the center of the lake stood an island, with several elegant and quaint pavilions. Flowers and plants bloomed around the area, releasing a pleasant fragrance. As the wind blew, it created ripples on the lake's surface and carried the fragrance to distant places. Outside one of the pavilions, a woman in black sat cross-legged. Her long black hair reached her waist, and as the wind passed by, a few strands of hair fluttered. Her face was obscured by her hair, making it hard to see clearly. Her hands were delicate as jade, and in front of her was a ball of water, slowly rotating and releasing faint water vapor. Inside the rotating water sphere, it seemed to contain chaos, filled with radiant light. As it twisted, the silhouette of a white-clad man could be seen within, his figure giving off an aura of loneliness. As the water sphere twisted, the figure gradually became clearer. Upon closer inspection, it was none other than Wang Lin. At that moment, a strange light flickered in the eyes of the black-clad woman hidden beneath her dark hair. The water sphere in front of her exploded with a loud boom, turning into a curtain of water. Within that water curtain, a starry sky appeared, and in this sky, only one cultivation star could be seen. Tell the elders of the Council of Elders that Yun Luo has already deduced that the person who destroyed the Lightning Thunder clan is here. The black-clad woman spoke softly. As soon as her words left her mouth, 3 figures appeared faintly in the sky above the island. They cupped their fists toward the woman, then suddenly vanished. Soon after, the citizens of all the ancient stars, within a vast radius surrounding the cultivation star where Wang Lin resided, received an order from the Council of Elders to lock down everything and gather together. At the same time, within the starry sky of the ancient stars, there was a crack in the abyss, a place where darkness constantly lingered, surrounded by chilling cold. Any living being drawn here would instantly perish. But at that moment, within the void of this cracked abyss, a middle-aged man sat cross-legged. His face was gloomy, and his eyes were closed as he slowly breathed in and out. Each time he inhaled, the boundless cold air from the abyss would rush toward him, and with a cracking sound, ice formed around him, only to shatter and be absorbed into his body. In front of him, a white light floated. Within this light, there seemed to be a soul, but its form was unclear. The light slowly spun, and faint white threads emanated from it, entering the middle-aged man's 7 orifices. After a long time, the middle-aged man slowly opened his eyes and looked at the white light in front of him. He muttered, 6th grade Tao spirit. It truly possesses earth-shattering power. I've only absorbed 60% of it, and already I sense signs of breaking through to the mid-void nirvana stage. Although I am still far from breaking through, this feeling is something I haven't had in a long time. The 4 realms of the void, nirvana spirit profound tribulation. As he muttered, his expression suddenly shifted. He looked up and saw a crimson light piercing through the sky, breaking into the abyss and instantly appearing in front of the middle-aged man. The crimson light illuminated everything around it, and at its core, there was a blood-soaked piece of paper. Master C. Maja, the Council of Elders has sealed your orders. Capture the one who destroyed the Lightning Thunder clan alive, and you will gain a 6th grade Tao spirit. Kill him, and you will only gain a 9th grade Tao spirit. An eerie voice echoed from the blood-soaked paper. The middle-aged man was none other than one of the 3 third-step great powers who had been chasing Tuasen when Wang Lin first entered the ancient stars. See Maja. See Maja's eyes flashed. He raised his right hand and grabbed the blood-soaked paper, crushing it in his hand. It immediately transformed into a red mist that entered his arm. This task is simple. My clone can handle it, he said softly. As his eyes closed, an ethereal shadow emerged from his body, taking the form of a clone that looked exactly like him. However, this clone was not at the third step, but at the fifth decay of heaven and man. The clone took a step forward and instantly disappeared into the crack in the abyss. Meanwhile, Wang Lin, hiding in the 100,000 mountains of the cultivation star, paid no attention to the search efforts of all the cultivators across the cultivation star. He ignored the rainbow-like lights flashing across the sky above him. With his eyes closed, he began frantically refining the 6 accompanying thunders within his body. The first one he refined was the spirit thought thunder. Wang Lin already had quite a bit of it, so refining it was the simplest. Soon, all the spirit thought thunders that the Lightning Thunder clan had gathered over the years were absorbed by Wang Lin. As a result, his spirit thought thunder became incredibly dense. It swirled around his thunder soul, slowly rotating. With each full rotation, Wang Lin's soul expanded, and his cultivation also grew. His thunder cultivation body was steadily pushing toward the perfect shattered nirvana stage. Reaching shattered nirvana in the second step's 3 realms would be nearly impossible without tens of thousands of years of cultivation, not to mention breaking through. Wang Lin's cultivation time was far shorter than those ancient beings, and he had stepped into shattered nirvana relying on Dao fruit. His current rise was thanks to the thunderous transformation. However, despite this, he could not raise his cultivation much higher unless the 9 accompanying thunders were perfected. But whether reaching perfection would allow him to step into the third step, Wang Lin was uncertain. He vaguely sensed that it would not be so simple. After all, he had not chosen to cultivate devotional power. No matter what, I cannot cultivate devotional power. Wang Lin's thoughts were resolute. After merging the spirit thought thunder, his thunder soul immediately expanded into a giant mouth and began devouring the remaining 5 accompanying thunders. Time passed slowly, and in the blink of an eye, a day had passed. In that day, more and more cultivators from the ancient stars gathered on the True Word clan's cultivation star. In the dense crowd, there were no fewer than tens of thousands. Among these tens of thousands, many were strong, and those who could be sent out were rarely weak. On that day, the entire cultivation star was turned upside down as tens of thousands of cultivators launched a frenzied search. Again and again, they combed the land so thoroughly it was as if they meant to overturn the star itself. Even the vast expanse of the 100,000 mountains was scoured inch by inch, again and again. Yet despite their tireless efforts, they found nothing, not the slightest clue. Wang Lin sat cross-legged, blending seamlessly into the surrounding terrain. Any divine sense or gaze that landed on him would unconsciously twist and shift, unable to detect his presence. His aura had long since fused with the 100,000 mountains, utterly indistinguishable from the land itself. Within his mind, the heavenly brew lightning had already been refined and had become one of his companion thunders. Even the earth fusion lightning had been devoured by Wang Lin several hours earlier in a storm of power and focus. Time was pressing. Without hesitation, he turned toward the 4th companion thunder primordial transformation lightning. Formed from the condensation of the world's primordial energy, this thunder was swiftly subdued under the might of Wang Lin's formidable thunder soul. In just 3 hours, it quivered violently, unable to resist, and was devoured in a single breath. Now, for companion thunders revolved outside Wang Lin's thunder soul. With each surge of lightning, his soul grew stronger, his cultivation breaking wave after wave toward the perfect shattered nirvana stage of a thunder cultivator. Magnetic thunder, Wang Lin's voice boomed within his thunder soul. In the name of heaven and earth's thunder, I command you to become one of my companion thunders. The 5th companion thunder, magnetic thunder, was wildly struggling. It was highly unusual, infused with a magnetic force that unleashed intense repulsion. Refining it would normally take several days to gradually dissolve that repulsive power. But Wang Lin didn't have the luxury of time. Seeing the fierce resistance, he let out a cold snort. His thunder soul, surrounded by the 4 companion thunders, surged forth, slamming directly into the magnetic thunder. The collision erupted into a deafening roar. The magnetic thunder couldn't withstand the force. After a brief struggle, it collapsed. At the moment of its collapse, Wang Lin devoured it instantly. Though not truly refined, merely absorbed in its broken state, this magnetic thunder was considerably weaker than the others. Still, Wang Lin couldn't dwell on that. After absorbing the 5th companion thunder, 5 bolts of thunder now spun furiously outside his thunder soul. With a thunderous boom, his cultivation suddenly broke through the late shattered nirvana stage and ascended to the perfect shattered nirvana stage. At the instant, he reached the peak of shattered nirvana as a thunder cultivator. Lightning coursed through his entire body. His thunder soul swelled rapidly, hurtling straight toward the sixth companion thunder, Dao Intent Lightning. Dao Intent Lightning had been discovered by the Lightning Thunder clan within the Inner Realm, for only cultivators from the Inner Realm could comprehend the conceptual realm and condense Dao concepts. This lightning was born from that process. If it had resisted, Wang Lin would have crushed it without hesitation and absorbed it as he had before. But as he approached this final companion thunder, it offered no resistance at all. Instead, it released wave after wave of chaotic Dao concepts, each forming into a soul essence. These souls felt deeply familiar to Wang Lin. They were all cultivators of the Inner Realm. They, too, sensed Wang Lin's Dao concepts. In an instant, they gathered and rushed toward his thunder soul. Without him needing to devour it, the Dao Intent Lightning merged on its own. A perfect fusion. Now, 6 companion thunders had been fully refined, spinning wildly around Wang Lin's thunder soul. Empowered by the thunderous force, Wang Lin's lightning cultivation had reached the pinnacle of the second step shattered nirvana stage. His eyes snapped open. Within his right pupil, the lightning sigil gleamed. 6 companion thunders rotated in his gaze, and a thunderous roar echoed ceaselessly across the skies of the cultivation star. The tens of thousands of cultivators still searching for Wang Lin immediately noticed the unusual thunder above. They unleashed their divine senses, wave after wave sweeping across the world, but still, they found nothing. If not for the True Word Clan's desperate efforts to hold them back, these cultivators might have attempted to forcibly refine the entire cultivation star itself, paying no heed to the endless lives that called it home, just to force Wang Lin out. The sky was streaked with rainbows of light. Cultivators covered every inch of space. Wang Lin let out a cold laugh. 6 companion thunders had been formed, but this was not his limit. To reach true completion, he still needed 3 more. But which 3? He had no clue, no direction. There's no need to follow the rules to find companion thunders, Wang Lin muttered. If I say it is one, then it is. He had always been a man who defied the heavens. Since no signs pointed to the remaining 3 companion thunders, he would create them himself. I want to see. Once I forged all 9 companion thunders, can my cultivation ride that wave of origin to reach the 3rd step? A red light flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. The extreme realm flickered violently, and with a thunderous burst, it surged forth. Extreme realm is a heavenly tribulation, but it is also thunder. I don't care what it used to mean. From this moment on, you extreme realm lightning are my 7th companion thunder. I am the Lord of Thunder across heaven and earth. My word is your command across time itself. Extreme Realm Lightning, take your place. Under Wang Lin's divine sense, the Extreme Realm Lightning thundered with a mighty roar, suddenly turning and heading straight for his right eye. In the blink of an eye, it pierced through the eye, leaving a mark right in the pupil. It became the 7th companion thunder. At this moment, within Wang Lin's right pupil, alongside the primordial lightning mark, 7 thunders spun around. A fierce aura erupted from his body. Wang Lin had now merged with the 10,000 Thunder Mountains, and the thunder's explosion instantly spread through the mountains, then further dispersed across the entire continent of the cultivation star. The booming sound shook the heavens and earth, raising an endless storm of thunder across the cultivation star's land. This thunder did not harm mortals, but its radiance was awe-inspiring. The tens of thousands of ancient Star of Antiquity cultivators searching for Wang Lin were immediately shocked, their expressions mixed with excitement, as they wildly resumed their search. Several cultivators who had reached the heavenly decay tribulation stage from the ancient Star of Antiquity united together, their divine sense surging and sweeping outward. Thunder Frog, you, as a fierce beast, contain the bloodline thunder within you, the essence of living beings. I've been with you for years, and though your cultivation is not high, you have manifested the essence of my life's rebellious cultivation. Today, as the Lord of Heaven and Earth Thunder, I declare you as the 8th spirit of the thunder diagram, the 8th companion thunder, and I name it the bloodline thunder. I do not care for past matters, but from this moment onward, the identity of the 8th companion thunder shall be erased. You shall become the eternal 8th companion thunder of the thunder diagram. Wang Lin's divine sense swept out in an instant, and from his storage space, the thunder frog, which had followed him for many years, leapt out with a mighty roar. Its body was enveloped in lightning, and it transformed into an endless thunder shadow, rushing towards Wang Lin's right eye. In the blink of an eye, the thunder frog vanished, and a bloodline thunder appeared in Wang Lin's right pupil. Alongside the primordial lightning, 8 companion thunders spun fiercely, and the world changed color, the wind and clouds swirling in reversal. Not only the land of the cultivation star, but even the skies were swept by thunder. The booming sound spread wildly, shocking the hearts of all cultivators. The sky was thunder, the earth was thunder, and the void between them seemed to be surrounded by thunder. As the thunder and lightning attracted each other, flashes of lightning connected the heavens and earth. The tens of thousands of cultivators searching for Wang Lin were no longer excited but horrified. They had never encountered such a scene in their lives. As they watched the thunder crash, their hearts involuntarily trembled. The final thunder. In this world, I have searched for the last companion thunder, but I could not find it. However, I have defied the heavens throughout my life, unwilling to let fate control me. I am to become the master of heaven and earth, to shatter this sky and annihilate this land. I have fought against the heavens for my wife's soul, and I have competed with time for glory. My actions may have brought destruction upon the world, but I stand unashamed. I, Wang Lin, have walked this world for 2,000 years, my heart pure. What I seek is a rebellious heart, and what I cultivate is a rebellious bone. The last companion thunder, since I cannot find it, I shall use my life's cultivation to create a rebellious thunder. This rebellious thunder has never existed in this world, but today, by my command, it shall come forth and replace the former ninth companion thunder. From now on, it shall be the only ninth thunder, the thunder of rebellion. Wang Lin's divine sense surged with madness and dominance as he suddenly stood from his meditative posture, gazing up at the sky. His body stood tall like a pine, as though a rebellious backbone coursed through him. His eyes flashed with lightning, and his aura soared. His heart was filled with rebellion against fate and the world. The tribulations of the 7 million worlds have erased my last hesitation. The heavens are merciless, so we, cultivators, must resist. Why should it be merciless? Why should it control all living beings? Why should it control my life? Wang Lin's words rumbled, causing the thunder to resonate endlessly, forming a vast thunder domain that surged outward in all directions. A thunder, never before seen, thundered into existence at Wang Lin's words. This rebellious thunder was formless and invisible to most, but those with rebellious hearts and who practiced rebellious cultivation could perceive it. This thunder descended from the heavens, carrying a struggle against the world and fate. In an instant, it shot straight towards Wang Lin's right pupil. In the blink of an eye, it merged. Within Wang Lin's right eye, beyond the primordial lightning mark, the 9 companion thunders completed their formation. They rapidly spun, creating a thunder diagram in his right pupil. As soon as the diagram formed, an indescribable force of thunder erupted from Wang Lin's body, blasting outward like a volcanic eruption, rushing into the endless void. With thunderous sounds, a massive illusory gate appeared in the sky of the cultivation star. The cultivators stared in disbelief. This gate was infinitely large, filling the sky. It seemed to be the gate of the starry sky, the lock of the heavens and earth. Once opened, it would allow them to break free from this world. Third step, Gate of Void. Among the surrounding cultivators, several immediately recognized it, their expressions changing drastically. Their bodies trembled, and disbelief was evident on their faces. As soon as the gate appeared, Wang Lin immediately felt the overwhelming power emanating from it. It was as if, before it, everything he possessed amounted to nothing more than dust. Even if I can't break through, I still have to try.